welcome to Weekends with Whitney. We begin this morning in St. Francisville, here at the Myrtles. The house was built back in the 1700s, and since then there have been a lot of interesting stories and tragedies that have captured some ghosts and spirits that they say have never left. Well, I spent the night at the Myrtles, and I'll let you know what I got to experience. But also coming up in this morning's show, Louisiana is losing some of its oldest cemeteries. And here in Baton Rouge, it may surprise you that one of those is actually a part of the popular city park. We're going to let you know about a group of people on a crusade to change that. But first, it is the week of Halloween, when all kinds of creepy, spooky things can happen, and maybe a little magic. Well, for years, and I'm sure you have too, heard about the Myrtles Plantation and that it's the most haunted bed and breakfast in all of America. Well, I decided there was only one way to find out whether it was smoke and mirrors or the real deal, and that was to go. So just a few hours before, videographer Kim Bronikowski and I made the trek up to St. Francisville. My daughter, Sydney Joy, and her friend Macy Claire decided they wanted an adventure. Now, this is after I had begged them for a week to go. Well, finally, they decided they were brave enough. They were a little frightened, and they got a few surprises. In fact, we all did. Here's what happened. It was raining when we checked into the Myrtles, an atmosphere fitting for the most haunted bed and breakfast in the world. And it's already creepy. What's coming next? I don't know. We grabbed our bags, and before we even went inside, this happened.
Make sure everything
Mom, whenever I took the picture, I pressed it and it focused on something else.
We then checked out our rooms and explored the house and grounds. Almost immediately, Sydney Joy and her friend Macy Claire felt they weren't the only children here.
I don't know, but my legs keep getting tickled because children attack ghosts. And then the guy who, our neighbor, the other night, was like, oh yeah, the children who died here will tickle your legs.
and it'll feel like it.
And have any of y'all gotten tickled yet?
No.
Okay, because children attract ghosts.
She was also starting to feel set up by me, her mother. Honestly, I had no idea children supposedly attracted ghosts. 2 children died here in the 1800s after accidentally being poisoned. Many believe they're still here. They reportedly love playing with their dolls, who mysteriously move around.
You know, the dolls, like, they were facing forward, and then
They were you know, the green one with the red hair was facing forward.
Yeah.
Well, we came in and it was looking up, and the guy was in the room. And I said, "Wait, did the dolls move?" And he said, "I thought the same thing, but I thought maybe it was just me." And I thought they had moved too.
I didn't have odd feelings or sensations yet, but Kim, who has experienced the paranormal before, certainly felt something unusual.
When we first walked in, I did feel like just that people were watching us and just wondering what we were doing.
Did you tell if they were nice or evil or good or bad?
It wasn't bad. Not bad for sure. Just inquisitive, I guess, they felt.
We had worked up an appetite, so had dinner at the Myrtles Carriage House restaurant. But first, we set up our GoPro camera in the bedroom with the dolls to take pictures every few seconds while we had dinner. When we got back and watched the footage, we did not see the dolls move again, but the bedding certainly did. Something had turned down the covers for its overnight guests. It was time for bed, but Sydney Joy wasn't about to sleep.
I'm not going to bed. I've had a Dr. Pepper and a coffee, regular, not decaf, so I'm good.
You're scared.
Maybe just a little bit.
You're scared.
Look at my pupils.
Yep, she's scared all right, and so is Macy Claire.
I just freaking out, and my toes are tingling. Really? Because I'm nervous.
But she kept asking herself, was what she experienced real or imagined?
That maybe I was kind of feeling things, or it could just be like wind that's opening and closing doors. I don't know. Oh gosh, I thought I saw something, but I didn't. Like, oh, but it wasn't.
The girls were not separating. 4 of us crammed into one bed for the night. Then at 2:30 a.m., Kim and I woke up to shoot video, but the girls were not about to join us.
I want you to go.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm calm now.
Promising not to be gone too long, off we went. Yet Kim and I were admittedly a bit spooked too. If the spirits wanted to be seen by us, we knew we arranged the perfect time and place. We nearly jumped out of our skin when we were filming the moon and the nearby water fountain mysteriously came on. The next morning, we saw owner John Moss working on the general store that caught fire in August. He said the fountain is not on a timer. It has to be turned on manually. Well, no one was up or even there, except Kim and me. We had a lot of other questions for John, but he hadn't done an on-camera interview in 10 years. Fortunately for us, he agreed to break his decade-long silence and talk. First of all, is it haunted?
Well, 22 years ago when I bought the Myrtles, I didn't think so. But as time has gone by, it has been very obvious that it is. And, you know, we really don't use the word haunted so much as we do that the Myrtles is blessed to have guardian angels. Ah. And really a funny story, 22 years ago when we first got here, I met a little lady up here that was probably in her 80s then that told me, said, honey, all these old houses have spirits. Yours is really not any different than anybody else's. And, you know, they're going to let you know in the first 90 days whether or not you're welcome. If you are, it'll calm down and be like anybody else's house. If not, you'll move on. And we had quite a few experiences those first 90 days.
When we come back, John talks candidly about what those experiences were in those first 90 days and the uncanny perceptions of his 2-year-old son.
We're Cadillac women. I'm a cowgirl, but I like to ride in style.
I'm a broadcasting major, and I want everyone to know that I love my Cadillac SRX.
Always me too. You can count on Jerry Lane.
You know the best thing about Raising Cane's? Well, we have fresh, never ever frozen 100% premium chicken fingers. We also have extra long crinkle cut fries. Then there's our crisp coleslaw and buttery Texas toast. And of course, you can't forget about our totally craveable cane sauce. But while all those things are definitely tasty, the absolute best thing about Raising Cane's is simple. We don't make it until you're ready to eat it. Raising Cane's, one love.
This segment brought to you by our friends at Wayne Stabler Companies. John, his wife, and 2 sons moved into the Myrtles 22 years ago when he bought it. And at the time, he didn't believe in ghosts or spirits. He just thought all that was a lot of hype. But in his first television interview in 10 years, he tells me all that changed when his family was there those first 90 days.
When we got here, my 2 boys were 10 months and 2 years and 10 months, and the one that was roughly 3 years old was just chatty Cathy. He was right down the storyline of everything that we had heard about the Myrtles, of what was going on. And my wife actually talked to a psychologist friend of hers that said a child at 3 can tell you a straight up lie, but they cannot conjure. She was a speech and journalism major and teacher there in Baton Rouge, so she was able to pull information out of him that you know, he could not ad-lib and add to the story, and all of the things that he was saying went right down the storyline. So, you know, with him saying what he did, we knew that there was something special about the house. And, you know, from there it proved to be quite special.
In 22 years, those first 3 months had the biggest impact on John. He calls it a total mental remap.
Well, probably those first 90 days, because you went from being a total non-believer and thinking that it was just, you know, marketing and smoke and mirrors to having almost an epiphany that, you know, there's something here that's bigger than all of us that nobody can prove or disprove, and a healthy respect for things that you don't know about. So that was the main thing, was just a total mental remap to say that, you know, you've got something here. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it, you know, what is it? And as we found, we really feel that we have guardian angels, because in the 22 years, my wife and I lived in the house with our boys the first 7 years, and it was always a feeling of warmth and love, and not anything that you would not want to expose your children to. So we feel that we've been very blessed.
More than 30,000 people from all over the world will visit the Myrtles this year. 6,000 of them will dare spend the night. Many of them want a ghostly or spiritual encounter. So I asked John, why all the fascination?
I guess you could kind of parabolize it with UFOs. It's just the curiosity of the unknown, and it's so much more about the individual than it is of, you know, the spirits. We have people that come here that are total disbelievers that leave, you know, total believers. We have people that are believers that come and don't have experiences. And as I tell people, you know, the wonderful thing about the guardian angels, it's a lot more about what's between your ears and being receptive. And, you know, being able to perceive and receive is the biggest thing, because we have so many people that come, and nowadays with cell phones and cameras and computers, leave saying, oh, I didn't see anything, and then call you back a week later and go, oh my God, you know, we got home and put it on our computer and blew things up, and there it is, you know. So 20 some odd years ago, we would get a little bit here and there. Now it's weekly. You know, we get so much stuff now that, you know, the traffic is so much more. We literally have people from all over the world that come in on a regular basis. And, you know, it's really amazing, and it's really a blessing too.
Lisa is one of the tour guides. She hears firsthand the strange experiences of overnight guests. She's even experienced some too.
So this couple spent the night up there one night, and she woke up to someone sitting on the end of the bed. When she sat up, it was a gentleman in a uniform, in a Confederate uniform. She grabbed her keys, her phone, and her housecoat, ran to the car, locked herself in, dialed the number for her husband and said, honey, I'm in the car. You might want to get out of there.
Her daughter Paige had an encounter too when they were at the Myrtles on Ghost Story Night.
When Paige passed by the couch, she said it felt like she hit somebody's knees. And so she looked down, and there was nobody there, but the seat was in like this. And just about that time, a gentleman behind her kind of grabbed her arm and dragged her into the other room. Some people see things, feel things, and don't say anything. They don't want anybody to know. But he was standing there the whole time he was doing this. He saw or felt something.
Outside, it got more frightening.
But later, we went walking outside in the dark, and we kept hearing somebody behind us. We could hear them walking, we could hear them breathing. But when we'd stop, we didn't see anything. So we kind of got into the light, and we could see where they were standing in the grass, the boot prints, pushing the grass down. So we got out in the rocks in the driveway, and we stopped real fast and turned around. We could see where the foot came down and the rocks popped up. So we grabbed each other and ran to the car and went home.
Luckily, nothing that dramatic happened while we were there.
Well, it was creepy because you were in like the so-called most haunted house in America. So I was expecting it to be way worse than it actually was. I was fine. Like when we first got there, some doors were closing by themselves and we were hearing things and I thought I saw something. But then later in the night, nothing happened, but I was still really nervous. But then I calmed down.
Would you do it again?
I would.
The only thing that really happened were a doll moved and a door opened and closed by itself twice. But that's really the only thing that ever happened that was creepy.
The girls may come back, but not Kim. Did you stay again?
No. There was a couple of times that I just felt like other people were watching us. And at the time I didn't say anything because I didn't want to scare everybody.
John says he felt like everyone was watching over the Myrtles 2 months ago when it caught fire inside the general store, the first building ever built here at the Myrtles. He sings high praises for the volunteer firefighters.
Our volunteer fire department are the heroes in all of this. Yeah. He said we were probably 15 minutes before the building was going to collapse, and at that point mushroom out and come back up under the main house, the big house. This is our butler's pantry, which also has an 80-gallon gas hot water heater. So if the flames had come up under there, we wouldn't have made the local news. We'd have been on the national news with a heck of an explosion. He said, "Mister, I don't know about your ghost," but he said, "Volunteer fire department is spot on."
They now know the spot where the fire started, right here where the back wall used to be. It was caused by a cell phone charger left plugged in. It'll take 4 more months of construction to make the Myrtles whole again. Fortunately, they're able to use a lot of the original wood and some reclaimed wood, like this beam that's now back home in Louisiana.
It's really cool because this beam was born in Louisiana, went to Chicago and worked in the Wrigley's Chewing Gum Factory, and is now back home. So we're real proud to have our old wood back in.
John is also bumping out the wall 12 feet to give more space, and with it, more comfort.
Making lemonade out of lemons. These old buildings never had any insulation, so by having to come in and strip everything out, we're going to be able to come back in and put insulation in here, and instead of burning up in the summer and freezing in the winter, we'll actually have some semblance of heat and air conditioning now, so everybody's excited about that.
And while most people come here to see guardian angels, spirits, or ghosts, John says they're not the best things here.
Nice, but the best thing we have here is rocking chairs, because a little rocking chair time will do wonders for your disposition and your communication skills.
And if you'd like to have your own adventure at the Myrtles, book ahead if you want a weekend. They book 2 months out for a Friday night and 3 months out for a Saturday night. Now, if you want to go during the week, you can probably slide right in. But coming up as Weekends with Whitney continues, Louisiana is losing some of its oldest cemeteries, many of them right here in our capital city. In fact, one of those is adjacent to City Park. Many don't even know it's there. We'll find out about a group who is trying to change that after this.
Give the gift of fine dining this holiday season. Wayne Stabler Companies is offering 1 card for 4. Le Creole, The Little Village, Stab's Steak and Seafood. 4 sizzling restaurants, 1 card.
You can count on Jerry Lane.
I'm driving all day long, so I need a car that I can rely on in a dealership I can trust.
And that's Jerry Lane.
It's always been Jerry.
Their customer service is outstanding.
Get in the lane, get in the lane, get in the lane.
Jerry Lane keeps me and my family rolling.
Always lead to. You can count on Jerry Lane.
This segment brought to you by our friends at Jerry Lane. Louisiana is losing some of its oldest cemeteries. Along the coast, it's due to coastal erosion. But in Baton Rouge, it's often due to neglect. In fact, that's the problem. At a cemetery you may not even know exists. However, it's part of the ever-popular City Park. Well, meet a group on a crusade to change all that. Dead have been buried here at the Lutheran Cemetery since the early 1800s. But it's now dying of neglect. A group of people, including world-class forensic anthropologist Mary Manheim, also known as the Bone Lady, is on a mission to save it. What is wrong with this cemetery? Why is it in danger?
Well, it's in danger, I think, really because of neglect in a sense, and that neglect doesn't come from the people who volunteer, who come here, try to clean it, try to keep it in good condition. But as you will note, if you do, just a general survey of this cemetery, there are broken tombs, there are tombs that have been vandalized, there are bones that some of the persons have told me about that have been removed, and every time there's a storm, bushes or trees can fall, break open these old tombs.
This cemetery is one of those featured in Jessica Scheck-Schneider's upcoming book, Fragile Ground.
I think the status of this cemetery is somewhat ambiguous as to who actually owns it. And so there's not someone dedicated to take care of it. So right now it's mostly done by volunteer effort.
Kenny Kleinpeter is one of those volunteers. He mows this 8-acre cemetery when he can.
It makes me feel part of them, and I enjoy so much coming in here. Every time I do, I learn something else.
But Kenny says there's still much to learn and many mysteries about this one.
There are over 7,000 graves on this site, and at least half of them have markers. So even though they get broken and they fade away, the concrete markers fade so rapidly, we have a record of the text on them. They have the most poignant things you would say about family, about religion. It lets you know just how important life was to early Baton Rouge in Old South Baton Rouge, and it's just very revealing to understand the people.
Their graves tell a story and also a time period.
This represents a 20s burial when they had all the room in the world on the top of the hill. Why would somebody significant person be buried this far down? The only reason I can say is that they knew they were related to some of the slaves in the earlier component that are in ground. You can see some of the depressions barely above the weeds. And so these were families that were so compelled to be together after life.
Kenny says, lives worth honoring.
You know, to me, it's also embodiment of the fourth commandment. Honor thy father and mother. And so there's such sacred places in addition to just the historic value. How can we let them go? I just don't understand it. So
Lily Gallagher shares a love of this cemetery. She's been organizing cleanup efforts.
But this year, we partnered with Trinity Lutheran Church in Broadmoor, Friends of City Park Trinity Lutheran Church, and the most recent cleanup involved 100 black men. They brought 20 at-risk kids here that worked all day long, and it was just a wonderful experience for the kids. I don't know that they'd ever been in a cemetery before.
But there's only so much volunteers can do. Lily is trying to get some financial support from the state legislature.
And legislatively, we might still get some help there, because this is the forgotten of the forgotten. You know, and unfortunately people die, they don't know where their families are buried. As Kenny mentioned, we have sort of a fetish about not wanting to even deal with death, much less think about it.
Mary says one of the great mysteries of this cemetery is who is buried here at the bottom.
And there's a component to it that's unknown. Up and over that hill is a large area that may be part of a slave cemetery from the old Richland plantation and the old Magnolia Mound plantation. So it would be great to do ground penetrating radar to see how widespread that cemetery is, and maybe give some numbers to perhaps the slaves who are also buried in this cemetery.
Yeah. Kenny says those buried here deserve better, and we can do better.
Ben Franklin said, show me your cemeteries and I'll tell you what kind of people you are. And that's exactly what you find here.
And if you'd like to save a piece of Louisiana history, just email me, Whitney@weekendswithwhitney.net, and I'll connect you to all the right people.
Maggio, the only way to go. Maggio Buick GMC, your satisfaction's our specialty. We really deliver on Falls River, here in New Roads. Small town atmosphere, legendary service for over 60 years. Maggio, the only way to go. The only way to go, that's Maggio.
Give the gift of fine dining this holiday season. Wayne Stabler Companies is offering one card for four. Le Creole, The Little Village, Stab's Steak and Seafood. 4 sizzling restaurants, one card.
Raising Cane's, we believe in one love. Quality chicken finger meals. But creating one love is no simple task. Everything has to be served hot and fresh. Not just hot. We use only 100% premium chicken tenderloins, guaranteeing a 0% chance of leftovers. We insist on the best ingredients for our fries, like potatoes. Well, we can keep talking quality, or you can just eat it. Raising Cane's, one love.
Give the gift of fine dining this holiday season. Wayne Stabler Companies is offering 1 card for 4. Le Creole, The Little Village, Stab's Steak and Seafood. 4 sizzling restaurants, 1 card.
I'm so glad you could start your Sunday morning with me here on Weekends with Whitney. Thanks for all the emails this week. You know, we love feedback, love ideas. And if you have an idea that you think would be a great fit for the show, a story idea, or just a suggestion, you can always email me, whitney@weekendswithwhitney.net. And if you'd like to watch the show again or share it with a friend, you can also find that at weekendswithwhitney.net. Hope you have a great Sunday. Right now, we leave you with sunrises from around the world.
At Jerry Lane, they rolled the red carpet out for me.
It's always been Jerry.
You know what? It's tradition, it's family, and that's what keeps us coming back to Jerry Lane.
Get the lane, get the lane. Get the lane, get the lane. Get the lane, get the lane.
We're a Jerry Lane family.
Always lead to. You can count on Jerry.